The White Sox avoided another series loss in Kansas City, but all eyes are on the future as top pitching prospect Noah Schultz is finally getting the call to the big leagues.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Todd Welter. Welcome to Locked On White Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And on today's show, I'll get to the offense having its numbers look horrible, but really it's because of how early it is this season. That comes after talking about why the White Sox might be waiting on calling up top 10 prospect Sam Antonacci. But first, let's talk about the team's decision to promote top pitching prospect Noah Schultz and the hope, excitement, and expectations that comes along with it. And I'm a little surprised Noah Schultz got called up only because I thought the franchise would want him to build up his arm in Charlotte to handle a big league workload and then maybe finish the season off in the majors. You know, I could see him pitching 100 innings down in Charlotte and then pitching, 3 or 4 games in August or September before getting shut down. Because one of the reasons why he was down in the minors in the first place last year was to build his arm up to handle a big league workload. And then that knee injury happened. However, I love the process the White Sox are using to promote their top pitching prospect. I mean, he is throwing nearly unhittable pitches in Charlotte. And he's healthy, so why waste those pitches in the minors? Get him up here and worry about the innings workload as the season goes on. I mean, now is the time to see if he can be the franchise savior, because that's what this feels like. It feels like they promoted one of the saviors of the franchise, because this franchise is going nowhere without outstanding starting pitching. And Schultz's stuff is dominant, provided he can obviously command it. And it may be a lot to anoint him a franchise savior, but it just feels like the turnaround plan is predicated on him and fellow top pitching prospects Hagen Smith and Tanner McDougal living up to their potential. And then the team just needs to get the improvement from the young players in the lineup, although that feels like that's going to be a struggle to get there, but I'll talk about that in the third segment. But if you think Noah Schultz is being rushed to the big leagues, despite throwing just 200 minor league innings, Josh Nelson of SoxMachine.com made an excellent point on X, formerly Twitter. This is at @SoxMachine_Josh. I fully agree with it. When it comes to pitchers who are close to MLB, I'd rather they use the restricted bullets they have against major leagues. This is my personal preference, but I'd like the White Sox to just use AAA as a pit stop for top pitching prospects like 25-inning ramp-up. And I've advocated, and I've pointed this out many times, and I've had other guests on this show point it out many times, Truist Field is like the Coors Field of the South. And I spoke with Jeff Cohen of FutureSox.net. That interview is going to run tomorrow, but he gave a really good explanation why the ball just absolutely carries at Truist Field and how it can really affect the psyche of a pitcher there. So just have your depth guys pitch at Charlotte. And obviously, kind of like what the White Sox are using right now, a parking lot. If you really don't have a spot, or as Josh pointed out, you just want to have a little bit of a ramp up, then it's fine to have them, have your prize pitching prospects have a few innings in Charlotte. But the development has to be done at AA Birmingham, especially how that park plays to pitching more. It's more spacious. And shelling is going to happen in Charlotte, like with what happened to Schultz. But a lot of it looks like is he was just pitching on a bad knee. I mean, now that he's healthy, he had a 1.29 ERA, 19 strikeouts, and 2 walks in 14 innings at Charlotte. So why waste him pitching well, going up against basically organizational depth players and hitters just trying to pass that final prospect test before a call-up when, you can have him doing that against the best of the best in a season where wins and losses don't matter this season. Remember, at the big league level, I keep saying wins and losses will just be a barometer of how the rebuild is going. But they are going to be franchise saviors' expectations. I like how former host of this show, Nick Morawski, he tweeted this out. at Nick_GGTB. 9 years ago, on a random Wednesday in July, Yohan Moncada made his hashtag White Sox debut. Noah Schultz debuting on Tuesday gives me those Sox savior vibes. More will follow this year, just like they did in the last iteration. Stitch it up, strap it down. Go Sox. And I'll admit, after watching the Sox lose 2-0, and then seeing Elijah Evans of justbaseball.com and futuresox.net break the news of the promotion, I was like, I could care less about the White Sox getting beat by the Royals 2-0. That's how I felt. And they had gone 20 innings without a run at that point. I was like, I don't care. Hope is on the way. I got re-energized because think about that. This start has just sucked a whole bunch of energy out of this hope that we had. And it was like, okay, here's Schultz. Here's our top guy. Now the hope is Schultz is more like obviously Chris Sale and not like a banged up and inconsistent Michael Kopech. But there is a ton of excitement, and manager Will Venable, he's excited for Schultz's call-up.
I'm very excited about Noah to be starting for us on Tuesday, and he's obviously in a really good spot. Throwing a lot of strikes and getting a lot of soft contact. So excited about Noah.
And here's what Venable thinks about Schultz as the player and the
He's
person.
about as nice a guy and as polite a guy as can be, but he does have an edge when he goes out there and pitches, which is what you love to see. Obviously, really dynamic with his size and how he throws, and his ability to keep his body under control and repeat his delivery is impressive. So, yeah, just overall an impressive guy.
And repeating his delivery, I think, is going to be the biggest key because, again, that's a lot of long levers that you got to sync up to be able to throw strikes, to be able to command. I mean, that was one of the things that knee tendonitis may have kind of got out of whack. But if he can keep repeating his delivery, I mean, his stuff is just, oh my gosh. And the extension, I mean, it's impressive. Now, Will said one of the reasons why they promoted promoted Schultz, and the reason why I'm not sharing that soundbite is I don't know if the maintenance crew was going through at the time. All of a sudden, it sounded like this very massive wind tunnel. So, I'm not going to be able to share the sound of that, but he did say, this is not just him being promoted to cover a start in the rotation, to plug a hole. They're going to give Schultz a shot to show that he can be what everyone in the organization and all the fans are hoping for. The next dominant left arm the team drafts and develops. Whether there were reports that top 10 prospect Sam Antonacci was going to join Schultz in debuting on Tuesday, but it sounds like that will be postponed for now. Let's discuss some practical reasons for this coming up next. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find the perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Confetti Craze 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. Confetti Craze 5-Hour Energy Shots taste just like birthday cake. Vanilla and buttery flavors to let you be unapologetically extra and unstoppably energized. All cake, no sugar. You can have your cake and sip it too, minus any sugar or guilt. So you take that and combine it with the best part of 5-Hour Energy, that quick, portable pick-me-up. And I always maintain the best part of 5-Hour Energy is if you need a quick energy boost, you just crack open one of those little bottles, take a quick swig, and you got a quick pick-me-up to get over that 2 p.m. energy drain. No need to chug massive amounts of soda or coffee to get that quick pick-me-up. 5 hours commitment to providing enjoyable flavors is also a big win in my book. The Funfetti flavor is back on 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Crack open Confetti Craze 5-Hour Energy Shots today. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Baseball is finally back, and I'm giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to LockedOnWhiteSox.supercast.com and use code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free. You're going to get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. This is now my third season podcasting here. I've been covering the team well before that, and I've also covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. So Sam Antonacci was supposedly set to debut along with Noah Schultz tomorrow. But then, according to the scores, Baseball Insider Bruce Levine, CHSN's Chuck Garfien, and Yahoo.com Baseball Insider Russ Darcy, all that happened was it was just being discussed, but no decision was made. And manager Will Venable actually confirmed that before the game yesterday. Just said they've talked about it. Now, it does not mean he's going to not get called up. What I heard, kind of just snooping around, all I heard in terms of the speculation, at least what was given to me, was the team wanted to make the move, but they didn't get a chance to tell Sam about the promotion before the news started to spread. Now, my hope is the reasons that the team's number 9 prospect per MLB pipeline is not getting promoted at least Tuesday is to give him maybe a few more reps in left field to continue to learn that position and maybe a less pressure-filled environment. And that maybe they wanted to give Sam his own day in the sun to make his debut. It also could be that Everson Pereira might be ready to come off the 10-day IL sooner than expected. He's already on his rehab stint. And maybe the club would still prefer to give him some runway, but maybe the team is not ready to make the roster sacrifice of dumping Tristan Peters or Derek Hill or someone else to make room on the 40-man roster. Although I really hope that is not the case. I really hope it's not because, hey, we're not ready to DFA, say, Tristan Peters, or we think Tanner Murray deserves a shot to see what he can do in left field. Because regarding Peters, he can go trying to do that drag bunt down to the Savannah Bananas. He can take that, I'm getting tired of watching him try to drag bunt every game to get on first. Again, I have no problem with guys trying to drag bunt every now and again, but every single game, every single stinking game, come on, it's not working anymore. Defense knows we're going to play a little bit in. And then you got to make them pay by hitting it over their heads, and he's not able to do that. So I wish him the best of the luck entertaining the fans as being part of the Savannah Bananas. But if they're thinking, let's give Tanner Murray just a little bit of a run in left just to see. And while I appreciate the home run yesterday, you could already tell he's a utility player. So, in my opinion, the moves that they have to make to get Sam on the 40-man roster is they got to DFA Peters, and then they've got to demote Tanner Murray. Because Sam, compared to, say, Peters and Murray, he can be, at the very least, a solid, raised tail and floor, everyday player who hits you, hits 280 with an OPS somewhere between 750 and 900. So I just hope it's not someone in the front office saying, hey, there might be something there with Tristan Peters, or hey, there might be something with Tanner Murray. Because he's going to be the 26-man roster demotion candidate. And Peters or Hill, although I think you need Hill's defense for late innings, especially in the few games you got to play Andrew Benintendi there. But one of those guys probably has to be the DFA candidate. Because this isn't like, to get Schultz on the 40-man, you can DFA a lot of guys. Doug Nikhazy, you can DFA Tyler Gilbert. I mean, you can make room for Noah Schultz and be fine. Offense, though, they have to it's got to be either probably Peters, and they could DFA, Hill, but again, because you got the split contract, you want his late inning defense. And, some could say, well, the other roster sacrifice you can at least make for the 26-man is just demote Chase Mydroth, who's struggling. But as I've advocated for in the offseason, I want to see a lineup where you have both Chase and Sam in it because they have the ability to be those complementary bat-to-ball, on-base bats the ideal lineup needs. But yeah, Chase has got to shake out of this season starting slump. Otherwise, it's going to be Sam replacing Mydroth at second, not Antonacci playing left field replacing Andrew Benintendi in left. But for now, if you're constructing the next good White Sox lineup, you want Sam Antonacci and Chase Mydroth both in it. So that means Sam's got to play left. And it can't hurt for him to maybe chase some fly balls for another week or two. Because at the plate, He already has a 289, 484, 444 slash line in 13 games at AAA Charlotte. 15 walks to just 7 Ks. And all he's done is hit in the minors since being drafted. So I'm not sure what else he has to prove in the minors at the plate. I mean, I know his at-bats. He still only has around 532 at-bats. And he only played at Coastal Carolina one season. So maybe that's the other reason. They just want to give him maybe 150 more at-bats of just seeing pitches that is close to the big league level. But it's the only thing I can really think of is let's just give him some more reps in left field where there's less pressure. Because you're seeing with Luis Angel Acuna trying to learn center field based on limited reps that he had beforehand. Maybe it can't hurt for Antonacci just to get a bit more experience reading balls off the bat in games that don't matter. Because if you're looking at Acuna's lines, he sometimes needs a map to find that ball. And what I really hope too, I mean, it can't hurt to give Antonacci his own day in the sun. I mean, the White Sox love to post that video of the AAA manager telling the prospect he's on his way to the majors. And it sounds like getting that arranged could have been one reason a certain person who tried to play reporter may have ended up, not breaking a story after all, may have been misreported, may have jumped the gun. But it would be the White Sox thing to do that too, to be like, well, it got out before we can do the video. Now we're not doing it. We got to push it back. Sorry, Sam. But it would be nice for him to get the spotlight for his own debut and not be overshadowed by it. Because make no mistake about it, debuting on the same day as Noah Schultz would have casted a huge shadow over that debut. I mean, for those of us that are also Blackhawks fans, it would be like when Connor Bedard and Kevin Korchinski both debuted. I mean, no one really cared about Korchinski, who was a first-round pick in his own right, getting the rookie skate. Everyone focused on Bedard. So my hope is the delay is just figuring out a day for Sam Antonacci to have the attention focused on him and also just catch a few more fly balls in left. Well, the White Sox offense could sure use Antonacci's ability as they struggled mightily for most of the series in Kansas City, although the lineup got a good reminder from the manager that may have helped the bats bounce back on Sunday that I'm going to discuss next. The NBA playoffs kick off this week where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Playing FanDuel's traditional money lines, spreads, and over-unders are always make watching a game a little bit more exciting when you got something riding on the outcome. But I always maintain the best way to experience FanDuel is to play the props, futures, or parlays. For example, if you think San Antonio can win the whole thing, well, that is at plus 490 the last time I checked. So that has a chance to win nearly 5 times the money you put down. You can even play Boston and Oklahoma City meeting up in the finals, as that is at plus 350. So if that happens, you'll have more than tripled your money that you placed on that possibly happening. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is, well, a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, you're emailing back and forth wondering if they're really getting your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. And doing my taxes can be complicated. Since I got a mix of freelance income and salary income, I also have to figure out my deductions with the write-offs for the kid and the mortgage, and it gets super complicated. And that's why I've turned to TurboTax in the past to take care of doing my taxes to save myself a ton of time and a ton of stress. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Shout out to all the everydayers. I appreciate your loyalty. I really hope you had a great weekend. Baseball is finally back, and to celebrate, I'm giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to LockedOnWhiteSox.supercast.com and use code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free. You're going to get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. All right, so for those that think Will Venable is off to a rough start as the manager, well, it looks like he deserves some credit for keeping this club focused, because the offense was terrible on Friday and Saturday, and it's been pretty bad for about a week and a half. And it was looking like this lineup would never score a run for the entire season. That's how bad they looked on Friday and Saturday. I'm not exaggerating. It was painful to watch. If you had other things to do on Friday and Saturday, I hope you did them. They were just getting overmatched. And to the Royals' credit, they've got excellent starting pitching. But again, that's a concern for the White Sox, is if you can't at least be competitive against good pitching, that's showing that you're not getting the internal improvement that you're looking for this season. I mean, the numbers are terrible. And I did write about it on TapSportsNet.com that, it's fine to be worried that a lot of the guys are headed actually for a bad season. If you are worried right now, I think it's fine, because we have endured 3 straight seasons of this. We have had plenty of data to say, you know what, I cannot apply standard baseball logic to this team. I actually need to be proven differently. And I've always said standard baseball logic for when is it trend to being a bad season? Because I remember covering a Brewers game when I was covering the team, and the veteran beat reporter actually asked the manager once, at what point does it go from a season starting slump to just a bad season? And I've always maintained it's usually around Memorial Day or Flag Day. But for the White Sox, I mean, we have seen a lot of guys get off these starts, and it drag on to July and August. And to me, that's then just a bad season. However, within the clubhouse, they need to take heart that, yes, it is still early. They have to keep standard baseball logic to them. And maybe where Will Venable can differentiate from his predecessor is he's been there as a player. He can say to them, yeah, guys, I've been there. It's going to get better. And he did have a meeting with the players on Saturday to remind them it's super early. And why is that a big deal? Don't press. Because Venable also pointed out a lot of teams are in offensive funks. So even when I get panicked, because I have seen this before, I should also remind myself, man, numbers can widely swing right now because of the small data being collected to calculate these numbers. It's a very small amount of numbers, so that it can swing a guy's average one way, it can swing a guy's slugging percentage the other. I mean, Colson Montgomery is a prime example of these wild swings that you're going to see in April. His average dropped to 173, and his OPS was 598 after Saturday's game due to going 0 for 7 on Friday and Saturday. But he goes 2 for 3 with a home run on Sunday, and his average goes back up to 200, and his OPS jumps to 720. Miguel Vargas hits 294 with an 879 OPS over the first 5 games of the season. But he's 4 for 29 since, and he's now hitting 180 with a 663 OPS. Chase Mydroth was hitting 270 on April 7th. Goes 2 for 4 in that game. Remember, he was off to a quick start. He's gone 1 for 19 since, and is hitting now 196. Now, if you go 1 for 19 in July, say you're hitting 270, usually your average is going to tumble to 250, 240. His is well below the Mendoza line. So you're just going to get these wild swings right now. And here's what Venable told the team on Saturday, or at least here's how he summarized it to the media before Sunday's game.
I think those are good messages every once in a while, and try to not make it every hitters meeting that you're saying something. And I just thought yesterday was appropriate, where you maybe see guys pressing a little bit. It's April baseball. If you look around this league, and there's a lot of teams that aren't performing like they want to offensively. That doesn't mean that we're just okay with where we're at offensively. But I think that it's just good reminders for guys who haven't had a full major league season yet and dealt with April baseball in the major leagues. So this is kind of how it goes. You can't look at your numbers and overreact to your current results. You just got to keep going, and one game, one series, 1 week, and you're right on track where you want to be, both individually and as a team.
Now, it is a terrible look for the White Sox to go 21 2/3 innings during the KC series without a run. I mean, that's bad. They did face some good pitching, but if you want to make progress in this rebuild, you cannot go that long without scoring runs. However, the team did respond by hanging 6 on the Royals. You got a 2-run homer for Murray and Colson, and then you got bases loaded walk offense in the 6th and wild pitch offense in the 7th. Now, the next thing that you want to see this offense do is, get more than a single run in bases loaded situations, but baby steps. But the overall offensive numbers for the league, it's terrible right now. But granted, the Sox relative to it is even worse because they're at the bottom of most statistical categories. But the league average slash line right now, 233, 317, 372 per Fangraphs. So a lot of teams are going through this right now. Now, that doesn't mean you still can't be worried about this potentially being another offensively long, bad, struggling, inconsistent season. But you and I have 3 years worth of data that supports these slow starts trend towards being something bad. But it's critical for the guys in that clubhouse to not worry and to not press if they want to reverse these negative trends. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. I'll be back tomorrow with Jeff Cohen of FutureSox.net, who covers the White Sox minor league affiliates in North Carolina, to discuss if Noah Schultz is ready for the big leagues. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox, wherever you get your audio podcasts, as this show is available on places such as Apple or Spotify. You can email me with questions or comments to lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. You can also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can follow me at Todd J. Dub. Also, the show has a TikTok page at Locked On White Sox. And if you never miss an episode, the Everyday Air Club is built for you. Get Locked On White Sox ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and so much more. Head to lockedonwhitesox.supercast.com to join the club. And if you've already signed up, tell your friends to join. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, for your second listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later.